were like, Lord, what? Same time she's like, ah. Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you've all been well. It's been a minute. But for today's video, I'm really excited. Because it's the first one of its kind that I'm doing, and hopefully there'll be more. And I'm going to tell you about that in a bit. As you may or may not have seen from the title, because I'm still contemplating on the title for this, this is a growing up horror story. And let me give you some explanation on that. Growing up horror stories is basically a series I want to start on my YouTube, where I just share like my experiences or stories from my childhood and through adulting, because growing up, adulting, it can be a lot. So these are just experiences that I feel I want to share, which I feel you people can be able to relate to. So basically just story times, just to maybe talk about some of these things, and mainly just for vibes, mainly just for vibes. So I really hope you guys like it. This is the first one, so I really hope you guys like it, and if you do, just let me know. Be sure to just let me know if you'd like me to do more. I hope you guys are ready. It's showtime. Okay, so today's horror story is going to be about growing up or being brought up under nannies or house helps or maids. I don't know, depends on what you choose to call them. So let me tell you why I decided to do a horror story on this topic. I am a firstborn, for those who may not know, because I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I'm a firstborn. So basically my parents, obviously my parents, being a firstborn, I was their first child. They hadn't had any other child before. So this was also like a learning experience for them. So let me tell you, if there's a person who went through to these people, it's me. Wow. I've had so many of these people, and like parents, like I feel like for some parents, because every parent is a working parent and they're doing different things. So some of them may require extra help, like to take care of their kids, or like manage the house and such things. The impact that these people can have, like on your childhood, like on growing up, is like major, and especially if like your parents are not around a lot. Thankfully mine were, thank God, but anyway, that's a story for another day. If you've had to grow up with these people, like if you've been brought up by these people, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because these are like different people from different places, different backgrounds. They're coming to your home, influencing so much. Like this is a whole other new figure of authority that you're supposed to respect and put up with them. So it can be a lot. So I'm basically here to give you some of those experiences, because I have so many stories, but today I'm just gonna give you like 2 or 3, I don't know, depending on the vibes. So let's just get right into the video and start this story time. This first one that I'm going to start with was actually a very traumatizing one. It was very shocking. But let me just start. When I was born, we used to live in this apartment, and there were many other kids living there. So like I had so many friends, and I was always going out to play, like to just hang out with my friends. So like being like right from when I was born, like when I started school, I always had like company around me. So a time came when I was, I think, around 4, I think between 4 and 6, I can't remember exactly, and we had to move to another place. still some other apartments, but they were still kind of new, so there weren't many people there. So like I never had anyone to play with, you know. So it was a big change. Like I'm moving from a place where I had so much company to a place where I'm just on my own. So there's this particular day, I remember it was on a Sunday, where I met this girl. Like I was just at home, me and my mom were at home, and we saw this little nice pretty girl playing outside. And it's actually my mom who took me to meet her, because I think she was also feeling bad for me, because like I had no one to talk to my age. So she took me to meet her, and I'm going to name her Pretty, because she was pretty. So my mom took me to meet Pretty, and we became friends. So like we used to hang out, because at the time we were only two. We were the only two children in that like apartment complex. Later, I think later more came, but like at the time we were the only two there. So we started like hanging out a lot. Like during the weekend we would do stuff together, and then our parents also became like tight. Not like tight, not like best friends, but like the kind of tight where I'll just tell my mom, I'm going to Pretty's house, or Pretty says she's coming to my house, and you know, it's cool. Pretty and I used to go to different schools. So like our schedules wouldn't be the same. Like sometimes I would be on my midterm and she's not, or she was on her midterm and I'm not, you know. And we also had different schedules. Like for me, after school, I had to come eat, I had to get home, eat, shower, and then do my homework, all before my parents got home, so that when they got home, we'll just like catch up before they put me to bed. I remember on this particular day, I think Pretty was on her midterm and I wasn't. So I came back from school, and I had eaten and showered, so now I had to do my homework. So Pretty comes, and she's like, hi, I want us to hang out. Like, can we play? Can I come? Let's just, you know, chill. She just wanted to chill. So at that point, the nanny I had at the time, she was called Sylvia. So Sylvia comes and she's like, no, today she can't because it's a school day and she needs to finish her homework. So she goes back in. So Pretty and I obviously were disappointed. So we just say, let's just go to Pretty's house. So we just snuck out and went to Pretty's house for a bit. And then we came back. And then now we're just like, let's just defy Sylvia. Like, let's just defy Sylvia, you know. So we came back to my house. So she was keeping me company as I was doing my homework. So I told her, you know, Pretty, don't make noise so that we don't get Sylvia annoyed. But then now, you know, obviously she was gonna get bored because, you know, we're children at the time and I'm doing my homework and she's just expected to sit there and keep me company, you know. So she kept on like going back home, coming back, going. She leaves the house, she comes back. She leaves the house, she comes back. So there's this one time when she had left, and Sylvia comes and she's like, tell your friend that she has to make a decision. Like, she has to make a decision on whether she's going to stay or leave, because as it is, she's not even supposed to be here and she's disturbing our peace. So tell her if she wants to go home, she should just go home, and if she wants to stay, she should just stay, because she can't just walk in and out of here like it's some toilet. So obviously I can't tell Pretty that, like, she's my friend. Like, I'm not just going to tell her that. So Pretty comes back, and I didn't tell her. I obviously didn't tell her Sylvia's message. So we're just there. So the next time she wants to leave, Sylvia approached her and she's like, let me just quote what she said. She was like, wewe unatusumbua. You have to make a decision whether you want to stay in or you're gonna leave, because you're disturbing our peace. She literally told her, you're disturbing our peace. So at this point, Pretty is like, why is this lady talking to me like this? So now Pretty is annoyed. So Pretty goes like, I'm gonna tell my dad. Sylvia goes like, tell him. Tell your dad. Go tell your dad and don't come back here again. So at this point, I'm just like I'm watching them having this altercation, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool. So Pretty goes, and you know, like, obviously I'm bummed. I'm like, I'm not gonna see my friend again. But like, I thought it was going to end there. Like, I just knew she's gone home. I'll just see her some other time. So Sylvia goes on with whatever she's doing, and I continued doing whatever I was doing. So like a few minutes later, we hear the doorbell. And guess who we saw? Okay, before I go to this next part of this story, let me give you a little bit of background about Pretty so that we're not judging Pretty. Pretty, she was a last born at the time. She had an older sibling. And so, yeah, like they I don't think they had ever had any like nanny or anyone else living in their house, because I think they used to live with their auntie. I really can't remember how like the dynamic was at their house, but what I know is that I don't think they had ever had a nanny before. So for her, I think she couldn't comprehend that this is also a figure of authority in this house and I have to respect her. Like for her, I think it was like, why is this stranger talking to me rudely? Like, why is this stranger being rude to me and I'm here to see my friend? Anyway, so back to the story. So we opened the door and guess who we saw? It was Pretty. Not only Pretty, but also Pretty's dad. Pretty's dad was at the door holding a belt. A whole ass belt. Where's my friend's dad? At the door of my house holding a belt. Why? So at first I even thought, like, I was scared. I was like, this belt is for me, because maybe he's come to hit me for making his daughter unhappy. Where my child heart is it's just beating like. I was scared. I was like, now what is this? What sort of drama is this? Already I've started feeling bad, because I knew if I had just told Pretty, you can't be here today, this wouldn't have been happening. But here they were. So Pretty's dad goes like, are you Sylvia? Sylvia says, it's me, I'm Sylvia. And he's like, what makes you think you can speak to my daughter the way you want to? Like, what makes you think you can be rude to her? She's coming to see her friend. She's not coming to see you. You can't just talk to her how you feel you want to talk to her. So at this point, Sylvia is just like, she's just quiet, like she's not saying anything. So Pretty's dad is like, so do you have any answers like for me? Like, why were you being rude to my daughter? So Sylvia's just looking at him. The turn of events. Pretty's dad grabbed Sylvia, put her, because like we're standing at the door and there's like a wall obviously outside. He just picks her and puts her kwa ukuta, like at the wall. I'm even embarrassed to say what happened next. I feel like you people already know what happened next. I was shocked. So at this point, I'm screaming. I'm like, no, Pretty's dad, please, just stop. I'm like, no, please, you can't be hitting her. Like, I'm screaming, like I'm crying. And Sylvia's just there, like, Sylvia, I don't even remember what was going on with Sylvia, because at the time, I'm really shocked. Like, I'm a child looking at this happening. Why? Like, which brings me back to the whole point. These people, I don't think they acknowledged that, they acknowledged how you're supposed to treat people of service, because this is a person of authority. Like, she was put in charge of me by my parents when they're not around. So I think that's what they couldn't just like comprehend. After he was done doing whatever corporal punishment, he leaves. Him and Pretty leave, and Sylvia just goes back to the house. And she goes and locks herself in the room, and I'm just there crying. Let me tell you, I'm feeling guilty. Like, at this point, I just want to, like, I don't even know how to speak to her. So the situation in the house was so awkward. My brain was just like, I couldn't just believe what I had just seen. And I was a child. Like, you can imagine that for a child. So, later, obviously, my parents come and Sylvia tells them exactly what happened. And so all I remember is my parents going to Pretty's house and Pretty's parents coming. Like, it was a lot. And of course, like, I think they had to apologize. They definitely had to apologize to Sylvia, but Sylvia didn't stay much long after that. God bless Sylvia, such a beautiful soul. I wish I had the chance to speak to her again, because I can only imagine, like, if it was like that for me, I can only imagine how it was for her. It was so shocking, because you know me at the time, I know it's only children who are punished by adults, not adult to another adult. Like, you feel me? It was a lot. Like, that was I think the craziest experience I ever had with a nanny on her part, but it was still, like, because I was there, it was still so a lot, you know. Moving on to the second story. Story number 2. Now this one. Now, this, I can't remember what her name was, but let's just call her Lucy. Because it's the first name that came to mind. So Lucy came in, like, this is a story based in 10. Between 2010 2011, I was about 7 or 8. Yeah. So my siblings had just been born, so they weren't even an year at the time. So you can imagine, like, my mom, she is, you know, she has to take care of small kids, and she still has me, who also needs attention. And yeah, so at this time, this was the period of time where I think we got a lot of the nannies, the aunties. Yeah, by the way, to call them aunties. I know I'm not the only one. Like, auntie, that auntie. Anyway, Lucy was from Tanzania. I remember it was like on a Sunday when we got her, and we were coming from church. So we're just coming from church, and then we went out, and then, like, after that, went to this place. It was like a very big place, very crowded, and then we picked her up from there. So Lucy, she was very pretty. You know, she just looked very finished, like very calm, very polite, and very just, I can't even remember her complexion. She was light skinned, she was very slim. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we stayed with Lucy for some time, but then, like, you know, we hadn't created that rapport. So we would only talk about, like, just the normal stuff, like burial, you need to eat, you need to shower. She would come pick me up from school. So, like, a month passed when we still had Lucy. So my mom is, like, just still training her, and, you know, she's trying to catch up with how things work at home. And we started noticing that she was too reserved. Like, you would ask her something and she wouldn't even, like, answer. It's like she was always in another world. Like, she was always just in her own world, like, you know. Some other time, my mom wakes up in the middle of the night. She has to go get something from the kitchen, and her room used to be near the kitchen. So my mom is just, like, walking to the kitchen, and she hears people speaking inside her room. So, you know, my mom at this point, she's very worried. Like, it's like she's having a conversation, a full-on conversation with someone, and something was not right. Something was not right. There's this particular day, because now, I think I've mentioned that she used to pick me up from school in the evening. So she was picking me up from school. I remember one time, and I don't know what I told her, and she just got pissed. No, she had a blade. Like, why did she have a blade? I don't know. Like, my memories are all jumbled up, but I think there was a blade in that situation, and she had, like, marks on her arms, and, you know, obviously, like, me being a child, I have to ask. So I don't know what she told me, and then I was like, Kwani, why are you being so rude? You know. So can you imagine what she did? Like, you see the way you can put your leg in front of someone else's when they're walking so that you trip them and they fall. That happened. And I'm just like, because, you know, we're on the road, like, we're walking home, and people have seen what has happened, and everyone is just like, because I literally almost fell, because there was, like, a sewer thing next to where we were walking. So I literally almost fell in there. So, you know, I looked at her. At this point, I'm scared. I'm like, Kwani, why are you getting, like, why are you acting like I was trying to kill you or something? Like, hey. So I get home and the first thing obviously I do is tell my mom. So my mom has to approach her on this situation. So my mom approaches and also asks her about the time she had like her, it was like she was having a conversation with people in her room. And no, my mom just says that all this like together is just very weird. Like, it's very weird. Is there something going on? So that's when she decides to confess. Where she came from, I think she had had an encounter with some man. And apparently, this man was not a good man. I don't know how he was not a good man, but he was not a good man according to her. And so she ended things, like they were not like interacting anymore. But then this man started showing up in her dreams, and now he wasn't showing up in her dreams anymore. Now he was showing up like in person. Like at night she would be asleep and all of a sudden she sees this man in her room and asking, like making demands. Kwanza they were funny demands like, I'm gonna need flour, I'm gonna need like 2 bags of flour because you broke my heart. I don't know, it was just a whole lot of funny stories. Now my mom is just like, you know, my mom, she's listening to these stories, like she's trying to be understanding, but then at the same time she's like, so she starts saying that this man has been appearing to her like in the room for a very long time. So like the conversations she was hearing, it was between her and that man, and I don't know who else. Like she just all of a sudden started seeing people in her room, and they're talking at night, and they only used to appear at night. Where my mom was telling my dad these stories, because I remember I was there, we all just lifted our hands. We're like, Lord, what? All this, you can imagine all this happening in your house. You have children, you have kids. Your oldest child has come telling you that this lady practically tried to kill her. And all this has been going on in your house. Like whatever these things were, whoever these people were appearing, they're appearing in your house. So, you know, at this point, my mom is confused. Like, she's scared. You know, the way, like, moms can think a lot. Like, they can overthink. So, my mom is thinking, hey, should I just tell her to leave immediately? Because, like, I might tell her and then she leaves those things in my house, you know. Like, it was so scary for her. Like, she was even scared to leave us with her. Like, my mom started picking me up from school herself. She stopped sending this Lucy lady. So, now I remember there's this time, like now after she had made the confession, so my mom was trying to act very normal about it, but she was freaking out. Like everyone was freaking out. We almost called like a priest to come and pray for that house because it was just scary. My mom decided that she had had it this one time when she went out. Like I think it was like the following Sunday now after she had this conversation with my mom, and she came home like at 8, drenched in oil, like literally oil, liquid oil. She comes home and she says she's feeling very weak, she just wants to sleep. So, you know, at this point I'm looking at her. Like I remember opening the door for her and I just looked at her purse. So you can just imagine, like it was so dramatic. Like you can imagine someone walking into your house and they're just shining. Like they're shining and their clothes are like drenched in oil. No, my mom just called whoever referred her and told her, I really think Lucy needs some time to rest. I really think she's not fit to be working in her condition. She just needs a little bit of time to rest and sort out a couple of things, and then maybe later we can just have her back, you know, the whole narrative. But anyway, Lucy left and we never saw her again. But it was a very crazy experience for literally everyone living in that house. So we have come to the end of this episode of Growing Up Horror Stories. All in all, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you enjoyed it. Also comment if you'd like me to do more such videos a similar vibe. It can be of anything, whatever, all things life. Just let me know. Feel free to interact with me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, share, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.